What if I told you that your greatest emotional weaknesses are doorways to your greatest power? Think of the last time you were emotionally triggered. A comment that made your blood boil, a situation that filled you with a sense of dread, a memory that brought a wave of sadness. In those moments, it feels as if you are hijacked, as if a force greater than yourself takes the controls, and you are merely a passenger on a ride of destructive reactions. You say things you don't mean. You make decisions you later regret. You spiral into states of anxiety or anger that drain your life force. We have been taught to see these triggers as enemies, flaws in our character that must be suppressed, ignored, or fixed. We fight them, we numb them, we run from them. But in doing so, we are running from the most potent source of energy we possess. An emotional trigger is not a weakness. It is a messenger, carrying a tremendous amount of raw, undirected energy. The problem is not the energy. The problem is that you have never been taught how to harness it. Today, I will not teach you to fight your triggers. I will teach you to transform them. I will guide you through a method of emotional alchemy, through 5 gates of the mind. By passing through these gates, you will learn to take the raw, chaotic energy of a trigger and turn it into focused, intentional power. The first gate is the most fundamental, and it requires you to unlearn a lifetime of conditioning. When a trigger hits, what is the first thing you do? You label it. You put it in a box with a name. Anger, fear, sadness, jealousy. The moment you name it, you activate a whole network of past stories, beliefs, and reactions associated with that label. You say, I am angry. And in that statement, you fuse your entire identity with the emotion. You become the storm. This is the first and most critical mistake. To pass through the first gate, you must learn to separate your identity from the experience. And you do this by moving your attention from the story in your head to the raw data in your body. Before an emotion has a name, it is simply a physical sensation. It is pure energy moving through you. An emotion is like a weather system, that before it is a storm, with thunder and lightning and a name like anger, it is just a change in the atmosphere, a shift in the pressure, a drop in the temperature, a current of. Your first task is to stop looking at the storm cloud and start feeling the change in the air. The next time you feel a trigger rising, I want you to practice this. Resist the powerful urge to label it. Instead, close your eyes if you can, and move your awareness into your body. Ask yourself one simple question: where do I feel this physically? Be a scientist of your inner world. Is it a tightness in your chest, a burning heat in your face and neck, a hollow, cold feeling in your stomach, a vibration in your hands, a pressure behind your eyes? Do not judge these sensations. Do not try to make them go away. Your only task is to observe them with a detached curiosity. There is heat rising in my chest. There is a knot tightening in my solar plexus. This simple act is profoundly powerful. It achieves 2 things immediately. First, it breaks the automatic, conditioned neural pathway that leads from a trigger straight to a habitual and mutual emotional reaction. You are inserting a moment of awareness into a process that was previously unconscious. Second, and more importantly, it creates space. In that space, you are no longer the angry person. You are the consciousness that is observing the sensation of heat in the body. You are no longer the anxious person. You are the awareness that is energizes by vibration in the hands. This is the first gate. You do not fight the energy. You do not judge it. You simply meet it at its source, as pure sensation, before it becomes a story. Before it becomes a story. Before it becomes an identity. By doing this, you reclaim the first degree of your power. You are no longer the storm. You have become the sky that holds the storm. And this changes everything. You have passed through the first gate. You have learned to meet a trigger, not as a named emotion, but as a raw physical sensation. You have created a space, a pause between the world's stimulus and your internal reaction. Now the question becomes, what do you do in this space? This leads us to the second gate. Once you have identified the pure sensation in your body, the heat, the tightness, the coldness, your conditioned mind will immediately try to reclaim control. It will want to judge the sensation. It will label it bad, uncomfortable, dangerous. It will create stories about why it's there and what it means. It will want to either fight the sensation or run from it. To pass through the second gate, you must resist this impulse. The practice at this gate is to become the silent observer, the inner witness. I want you to consider this metaphor deeply. You are the sky. Your thoughts, your feelings, your emotional triggers, they are the weather. The weather is constantly changing. One day there is a violent thunderstorm of anger. The next, a thick fog of sadness. Then, a pleasant sun of happiness, followed by scattered clouds of anxiety. The storm is loud, dramatic, and demands all of your attention. It feels all-encompassing. But the storm is temporary. It is an event in the sky, but it is not the sky itself. The sky does not fight the storm. It does not judge the storm or wish it were different. It does not cling to the sunny day. The sky simply holds the space for the weather to be as it is, knowing that it will inevitably pass. Your consciousness is the sky. The trigger is the storm. Your task at the second gate is to stop identifying with the storm and remember that you are the sky. So, when the sensation arises, you practice this. You hold your attention on it just as you located it in the first gate. But now you adopt the attitude of a neutral, curious scientist observing a new phenomenon. Your only job is to watch. Notice its qualities without judgment. Does the tightness in your chest have a shape? Does the heat in your face have a color? Does the knot in your stomach pulse, or is it constant? Does it intensify when you put your attention on it, or does it soften? You are not trying to change it. You are not trying to analyze it. You are not trying to make it go away. You are simply giving it your full, calm, non-judgmental attention. You are holding it in the vast open space of your awareness, just as the sky holds a cloud. This practice is the foundation of equanimity, and it is powerful for a very specific neurological reason. Emotions and the physical sensations tied to them are like a fire. They need fuel to burn. The fuel is your reactive attention, your judgment, your fear of the sensation, your stories about it. When you just observe the fire without throwing more logs of judgment onto it, it slowly begins to run out of its own fuel. The raw energy of the sensation, when met with calm, neutral awareness, will always eventually dissipate. Your goal at this gate is simple, but not easy. It is to develop the capacity to sit with any sensation, no matter how uncomfortable, without being consumed by it. To watch the storm of your emotions rage, while remaining firmly anchored in the silent, spacious peace of the sky. Each time you do this, you are fundamentally rewiring your brain. You are weakening the old neural pathways of reaction and strengthening the new pathways of conscious observation. You are proving to yourself on a cellular level that you are larger than any feeling, any trigger, any storm. You are the sky. You have learned to feel the trigger as pure sensation. You have learned to observe that sensation as the sky observes the storm. You have created a space of calm, equanimous awareness. From this stable ground, and only from this stable ground, can you safely approach the storm to understand its nature. This brings us to the third gate. A trigger is not a random malfunction of your mind. It is not your enemy. A trigger is a messenger. It is a distress signal sent from a deeper part of you, a part that holds your past wounds, your unmet needs, and your limiting beliefs. To simply observe the trigger and let it pass is a powerful practice of self-regulation. But to truly transform its energy, we must learn to receive its message. The third gate is about moving from a passive observer to a compassionate inquirer. Imagine the trigger is a child crying loudly in the next room. In gate 1, you simply notice the sound without labeling it. In gate 2, you learn to listen to the sound without getting angry or frustrated by it. In gate 3, you open the door, kneel down, and gently ask the child, "What is wrong? What do you need?" This is the shift in attitude we cultivate here. We approach our triggers not with fear or annoyance, but with a gentle, sincere curiosity. We are not interrogating the feeling. We are interviewing it. So, while you are in that state of calm observation, holding the sensation in your awareness, you can begin to ask it a few simple, powerful questions. You do not need to find an immediate intellectual answer. The purpose is the act of asking itself. The first question is, what are you trying to protect me from? This is a profound reframe. Most of our difficult emotions, especially anger and fear, a part of a primitive protection mechanism. Anger often rises to protect a boundary that has been crossed. Fear rises to protect you from a perceived threat, physical or emotional. By asking this question, you begin to see the trigger not as an aggressor, but as a misguided guardian. You shift from an adversarial relationship with your feelings to a collaborative one. The second question is, what unmet need is this feeling signaling? Every strong emotional reaction points to an underlying need. Does the jealousy you feel point to a need for security and reassurance in your relationship? Does the frustration you feel at work point to a need for autonomy or recognition? Does the sadness you feel point to a need for connection or belonging? When you can identify the underlying need, you move from being a victim of the emotion to being an advocate for yourself. You can then find constructive ways to meet that need instead of just acting out the emotion. The third question is, what old story has this situation activated? Our present-day triggers are rarely about the present-day event. They are powerful because they plug directly into the neural highways of our past. A simple comment from your boss can trigger a deep feeling of inadequacy because it activates the old story from your childhood that you are not good enough. By asking this question, you learn to separate the current event from the historical baggage it carries. You see that your intense reaction is not about your boss, it is an echo from the past. This insight is liberating. Passing through the gate of inquiry is transformative. It turns your triggers from your greatest liabilities into your greatest assets. They become your personal compass, always pointing directly to the parts of you that need healing, attention, and compassion. They show you exactly where your work is. You stop wasting energy fighting the messenger, and you start using its message to become more whole. You learn that within every storm of emotion, there is a quiet, intelligent seed of wisdom waiting to be discovered. Your task at this gate is to find it. You have journeyed far. You have learned to feel the raw energy of a trigger, to observe it as the sky, to understand its deeper message. You are no longer drowning in the storm. You are the sky, watching with calm curiosity. You are no longer fighting a monster. You are listening to a messenger. This awareness is profound, but it is not the final step. Awareness without action can still leave you feeling passive. The true liberation happens when you use that awareness to exercise the greatest power a human being possesses, the power of choice. This brings us to the fourth and perhaps most important gate. Between the trigger and your habitual reaction, there is a space. For most people, this space is infinitesimally small, lasting only a millisecond before the old neural highway of reaction is activated. The first three gates are designed to widen that space, to turn that millisecond into a full second, then 5 seconds, then a minute. This space is the sacred pause. It is sacred because everything you want in life, freedom, wisdom, peace, self-control, is born inside this pause. It is the moment you cease to be a puppet of your past and become the master of your present. Having received the message of the trigger in gate 3, your task at the gate of choice is to consciously decide what to do next. You must understand. Understanding the message does not obligate you to obey the messenger's destructive habits. You can thank the messenger for its information and then choose your own path. The practice is as follows. Once you have asked your questions and have a sense of the trigger's message, a boundary crossed, a need unmet, an old story activated, you then do this. First, you acknowledge the wisdom. You consciously say to yourself, "Thank you. I understand. You have shown me that my boundary of respect needs to be protected." Or, "I see that you are signaling an old fear of not being good enough." This act of acknowledgement honors the messenger and completes the inquiry loop, tells your inner system that it has been heard. Second, you declare your agency. You make a clear internal statement of power. "I have received the message, and now I choose my response." This is a declaration of freedom. It is you taking back the controls from the autopilot. Third, you make a conscious choice. A trigger floods you with energy. Your habitual reaction is just one way to discharge that energy, often a destructive one, like yelling, shutting down, or distracting yourself. But there are infinite other choices. Your task is to choose a response that is aligned with the person you want to be, not the person you have been. Some of these choices may be the choice of stillness. This is often the most powerful. You can choose to do nothing, to simply sit with the energy, breathe and allow it to move through you, without giving it an external outlet. You prove to yourself that you can contain the storm. The choice of compassion. If the trigger has revealed a deep wound, your most powerful choice might be self-compassion. Placing a hand on your heart and offering yourself the kindness you would offer a friend. The choice of conscious action. You can choose an action that constructively addresses the unmet need. If your anger signaled a crossed boundary, the choice is not to explode, but to make a calm, clear plan to communicate that boundary later, when you are no longer emotionally charged. If your anxiety signaled a lack of preparation, the choice is to open your notebook and make a plan. Think of it like this. A trigger pushes you toward a familiar, well-paved highway of reaction. The first 3 gates allow you to stop the car at the entrance ramp. The gate of choice is the moment you look at the map and see all the other roads available. The quiet country lane of stillness. The scenic route of self-compassion. The new, unfinished road of conscious action. For the first time, you realize you don't have to take the old highway just because it's there. You get to choose your destination. Every time you pass through this gate, every time you choose a conscious response over an automatic reaction, you are performing a miracle of neuroplasticity. You are weakening the old highway and paving a new one. You are building the muscle of self-mastery. You are moving from being a reactor, a slave to the past, to becoming a responder, a master of the present. You have journeyed far. You have learned to feel the sensation, to observe it as the sky, to understand its message, and to consciously choose your response in the sacred pause. You have reclaimed your power from the jaws of automatic reaction. This alone is a profound victory. But there is one final gate to pass through. A gate that takes you from self-control to true self-mastery. A gate that doesn't just manage the energy of a trigger, but puts it to work. This is the 5th and final gate. The energy inside a trigger is immense. Think of the raw power in a moment of intense anger, the sharp focus in a spike of anxiety. For most of your life, this energy has been like a wild river flooding your village, causing chaos and destruction. The first 4 gates have taught you how to build a dam, how to stop the flood, how to hold the water and understand its force. The 5th gate teaches you how to build a hydroelectric plant. It teaches you to take the immense power of that river and consciously channel it to light up your city. The energy of an emotion is in itself neutral. It is just energy. It is our unconscious reaction that labels it negative and allows it to become destructive. At this gate you learn the art of emotional alchemy, to transmute the base metal of a raw reactive emotion into the gold of constructive power. How is this done? Once you have passed through the gate of choice and decided not to act on the old habit, you are left holding a tremendous amount of pure raw energy. Instead of just letting it dissipate, you can now consciously redirect. Consider the energy of anger. The hot, intense, forward-moving energy of anger, instead of being used to burn bridges with harsh words, can be channeled. It can become the fuel to have a difficult but necessary conversation. It can become the sacred fire of determination to change an unjust situation in your life or in the world. It becomes the unwavering strength you need to set a firm, clear boundary that you have been avoiding for years. Consider the energy of fear, the scattered, electric, hyper-aware energy of anxiety, instead of leading to paralysis or endless worrying, can be harnessed. It becomes heightened focus. It becomes the energy needed for meticulous planning and preparation. It sharpens your mind to anticipate real obstacles and create contingency plans. Fear, when channeled, is the mother of caution and foresight. Consider the energy of sadness, the heavy, deep, inward energy of grief or disappointment. Instead of pulling you down into a spiral of despair, can be transformed. It becomes the source of profound empathy and a deeper connection with others who are suffering. It becomes the fertile, quiet ground for artistic expression, for writing, for creating. It carves out a depth in you that allows for a greater capacity for joy and a deeper appreciation for the preciousness of life. This is the ultimate act of power. You are no longer at war with your emotions. You are no longer their victim. You become their master, a wise cultivator who knows how to use the rain, the sun, and even the storms to nourish your garden. The 5 gates are a complete path. You learn to feel the energy, to observe it, to understand its message, to choose your response, and finally to transform its power. Wonderdreak. This is a practice, a martial art for the soul. It is not something you master overnight. It is something you practice for a lifetime, becoming more skilled with each trigger you face. Your triggers will not disappear. The world will continue to be the world, but you will be different. You will no longer fear your own inner world. You will welcome your emotions as messengers, listen to their wisdom and harness their power. They will cease to be your masters and will at last become your servants. The journey through the 5 gates begins not tomorrow, but now. It begins with a single conscious step. Before you move on, before the world pulls you back into reaction, I invite you to your first act of conscious transformation. Now, begin.